Okay, this video is to explain how to manage separate output emails to the user depending on what they put into the form. So if they say A, they get email A, and if they say B, they get email B. So it's not just a difference of customizing these values behind the form choices that they input, it's actually a whole nother email. And I'm going to try and demonstrate this and show how it works by way of the Return to Campus form for spring 2021. So this can provide different paths and has other use cases as well. Essentially the issue we came upon was that we had students who were going to be freshmen that we wanted everybody to be able to fill out really the same form. So anybody who's not currently on campus is filling out the Return to Campus form for spring 21. And those students really fall into three categories. You could have a new student, they do not currently live on campus, so we need to gather their intentions for the spring semester given the high flex option of living off campus and attending synchronously or asynchronously. But since they could be a new student moving in, they would need to move in prior to orientation. And so they have a separate group of move-in times for students specifically who will be attending orientation. Now you could also have a group of students who are returning to campus and they do not have they're either on intermission or they're studying off campus via HighFlex, and they don't need to attend orientation, so they need a move-in time because we need to coordinate that and organize it so that we don't have too many people crowding in at once and moving in. But they don't need to move in prior to orientation, so they can move in over the weekend. They get a different move-in time, and for us that meant a different link, a different set of appointments that they could select from, which is a whole nother Sign Up Genius link. And the third group of students were those who were currently off campus and were staying off campus, whether they're in intermission, they are a new student, or in urban cohort or something like that, and they're going to stay off campus. So they really don't even need to be introduced to the move-in times at all. They don't need that. They don't need that option. They don't need to accidentally sign up for a slot and take it from a student that needs it. They don't need they just don't need that move-in time. And so we wanted to build in that logic so that a student doesn't accidentally, what we could do is have one output email and give the student the two options. You can either move in Thursday you can move in Thursday or you can move in the other days. Well, inevitably you're going to have a few freshmen that are going to accidentally sign up for a late move-in time or a few returners that are taking up Thursday slots. And instead of now you have to manage that, you have to look at it from a process standpoint that adds hours to our work week. And so it was easier to just slice these off we thought it would be easier to just slice these off by the emails and prevent the whole situation in the first place. Now the way we did that, this is the Return to Campus form, and it's actually pretty complex, so there's a lot of dependency built into this. At the beginning of the form, they select what applies to them. Let's just say that they are a new student and that they intend to live on campus. If these two things are true, an email address opens up at the bottom. It's called email address. That's what they see. If they are a new student, or actually if there's any of these, and they indicate that they are going to be off campus, watch what happens to the email address field at the bottom. It becomes contact email. The reason I changed the actual forward-facing names of this was simply so that I could easily see that it was actually changing. And so, again, if I select on campus, I have one email address being gathered here. If I select off campus, I've got a different email address that it's a different form element, and so I can do something different with it since it's a different email address field. Now the other scenario again is just a returning student who's done orientation before. They don't need orientation, and let's say the student has been on campus before and they want to come on campus. You'll notice again email, so that's totally different. I got three separate emails that I'm asking for the sort of three different paths. And you can ignore all this stuff in the middle. The important thing is the email at the bottom is conditioned, a specific form element that actually appears as conditioned on the information they put in at the beginning of the form, whether they are we determine them to be a returning student who's been through orientation before, whether they're a brand new student coming on campus, or the larger bucket of just students that aren't coming back to campus. And if they're not coming back, they don't need a move-in time at all, and that's quite simple. Now, the way to do this on your dependency is to, first of all, start by having three email fields. You need to create the email for Thursday move-in, the email for a returning student Friday through Sunday, and the email that needs no move-in. Now, once you have these in here, you can build the dependency around what they indicate on these prior fields. In the case, as you saw, for the Thursday move-in, they have to say that they're a new student and they're coming on campus. And so that dependency, if we were to go into this form element, click on dependency, this field will be shown if all of these things are true. First, they indicate that they are currently off campus. They indicate that they want to come on campus, and that they have never lived on campus before. Now, the reason the value here looks funny is actually it has to do with the way that was created. Which of the following applies? And so the values, this is another situation where the values behind the choice are actually different. And so what I've done is I'm actually having the dependency look through these values and selecting selecting it based on whether or not the value contains THUR. You can look at this form in more detail if you'd like to really see what specifically we did here. But there are ways to sort of branch it out based on what you put into the values. It's complicated, and I don't need to explain all of it here to see exactly what was done. But in general, we just built the dependency in so that this email address only appears for students that are clearly have never been on campus before and are selecting options that would require a Thursday move-in, like they're a new student and not a current student, and all of that. Same thing with the Friday through Sunday. We basically are asking the dependency to look back and make sure that the selections the student has put in indicate that they are currently off campus, but they're a current student, and that they intend to be on campus, and that they have lived on campus before. If that's the case, then they can do a returning student move-in Friday through Sunday. And then the last one is pretty easy. It's just asking the question, email no move-in, whether or not the dependency is built on whether or not they selected off. So that's a very simple one. Then on the settings page, I've got 3 emails drafted. Again, none of these will send unless the user actually inputs their email. So I have an email generated from housing to email no move-in. This is the student that followed the form path and indicated that they would not be on campus. This is going to be the email they get. It's very much the same as the other emails, but it excludes the move-in link. And the move-in link is somewhere in the email. It's built in right here. And then it's built in right there. So if I were to just, you can double click it to bring it open. And this is what the student would get. In this case, this is the Thursday move-in. So this is the email that would be generated. It shows that it's from housing, and it goes to the new students, or the Thursday move-in students. They get multiple links and opportunities to also then sign up for a move-in time. So they have one up at the top, they have one right here, and then there's a big bolded link here as well, just to make sure that it's abundantly clear that they need to sign up for a move-in slot as well. And then finally, there's a third email for returning students. This is the email that would be sent on the condition that they are a returning student, and there's a different sign-up link in this email altogether. There's actually a fourth email. Yeah, there's a fourth email that's actually going into my own inbox. Now I've got some Outlook rules that just archives this away, so I don't have to see all these submissions coming in. But just in the case that the form isn't working or something's wrong, I'm still on the list to get the emails. Now I tried to do that with an FE 4400 form that I just worked with PCM about, and for some reason it wasn't sending some of those later emails. I really just want this for reference. If I want to go back in and see what's going on. With the complicated forms, I found there were maybe some data anomalies, but they ended up getting fixed. I have no idea why, but that's how to build in a custom email. These could be totally different. They don't need to just have different links for move-ins. They could be completely different emails that explain totally different policies for a student trying to transfer credit or trying to change into this or that major. There are other use cases for it, not that I can think of now, but there's a lot of different things you could do with this if you had it in place.